Bitcoin making a series of new all-time highs after the events of yesterday, which was very much glad to see this event pass now. We can maybe go into some sense of normality. And in today's video, we'll be going over minimum targets, at least as far as things that I'm looking at for the end of January of this coming year, 2025. And we'll also be going over a little bit of short-term time frame stuff as well. I've actually been getting a lot of questions about short-term time frame stuff, so I figure maybe it's a good time to be bringing it back. And speaking of questions, I want to remind you that if you want to be asking a question in the same sort of format as live streams, you can do so now in a pre-recorded video, and you don't need to be in part of a live stream. You can just do it through Discord, and all you need to do is join the Discord, which is freely available in the link in the description below. Find this section right here, the Cave video content, weekly Q&A forum, and then just find the relevant week, as I will, do one each and every week, and then I'll record a video answering as many of the questions that I get through here within about 30 minutes. So we'll see what that looks like, and this week should be the first one, and I'm excited to see it. All right, sweet. So first things first, I want to revisit, just where we are in the grand scheme of things. I know it's a very simplistic chart, but simplistic chart is not like I don't think that that's a bad thing. Again, elections have happened, halvings have happened, whatever the hell you want to call it. And the result typically has been, the same over time for Bitcoin. We do expect the next few months to generally be up and to the right. Or at least that's what I'd kind of be looking at right here. Now that's going to come with some caveats. As always, there needs to be some sort of objectively identifiable area that if Bitcoin does fail, then I would reverse these views. But until that happens, I basically have the same continuation of the same views that I've been having for the past, well, for a very long time now, actually. So let's get into what I believe, or at least what the statistics do show, as a potential for a minimum target coming into probably the end of January. For this, I want to be using the monthly HPDR, and we can see that Bitcoin as of right now, and it is very early within the month to be fair, of November, there's still, over 3 weeks left to go, but as of right now, it is trading well above that median on the monthly time frame, which is currently at 72,850 again on CME, so about $3,000 above that. Of course, Bitcoin can very easily have a $3,000 move to the downside before in a month. If that does happen, hey, then something else is going on, and it's time to it's time to reconsider these views. But as of right now, assuming that Bitcoin does follow through with this, which I think that it very likely will, based off of many things that we've gone over on this channel. I would be looking at Bitcoin as very likely to at least hit somewhere around this 38.2 level right here on the monthly HPDR, somewhere in this circle right here, which officially is just above $90,000 at 92,000 actually. I do look at that as kind of like a minimum target over the next few months, most likely. This will naturally shift around as we get new opens and whatnot, so it's possible that it very well could go up, but I would look at that as kind of like a minimum area to be looking for. Again, sometime in January, maybe near the end of January, before February begins, basically. Of course, if things get really, really crazy, or I think, best case scenario, maybe we see somewhere around the 50% level right here, which is in the 6-digit territory at 104. But again, that's probably changes with the new month once we get into December. So things could very well, update, or they will update from there. Now, again, going into objectively identifiable areas that at current would suggest that Bitcoin is doing something else would be the 5-day time frame right here for CME. It just closed last night, so we have a new 5-day period, which won't actually see the next closure until the next 6 days because it doesn't trade over the weekends. But again, as long as Bitcoin's above this 38.2 level, I look at this one as a trend in motion, and closing on new all-time highs is very bearish, very fucking bearish, right? $40,000 next target. But as of right now, you look, as long as even the 5-day time frame, not even the monthly, but the 5-day time frame is closing above, let's call it $75,000. I'm looking at that as, just short-term pullbacks likely to beget long-term continuation here. And I do think that this one does take off from here, mainly based off of the 5-day setup that we've had before. In fact, I'll bring it into view right now just to continue to follow up on it. Again, if you've been here for a while, you already know where we're going with this, but if you're new here, it's a very simple setup. Simply just looking for Bitcoin to close above that red moving average is going to be indicative of the open, and then whenever it closes below, close the trade. Crazy. And if you do that over the full history of Bitcoin, the results are not bad. I'll put it that way. So yeah, my point is that as of right now, the 5 exponential is all the way at just above 70,000 bucks. So this is for spot price action. This one actually will update on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So we'll see where that gets dragged up to. I expect that it will probably take a leg up to around 72,000 bucks. But again, just looking for price action, kind of a ride that does imply that we likely do see a pullback somewhere around the low of it at some point, you know, in the next 5-day period or maybe 10-day period. But ultimately, trend is still in motion until that is not complete. And if you're wondering what tool I'm using right here, it's the Quant Prime tool right here, which allows you to create, test, and automate your trades. That's your subtle shill for the day, but I mean, it's probably the easiest service to shill, honestly, because it's something that I use like every fucking day. It actually makes a difference. Crazy, absolutely fucking crazy. Anyways, yeah, so again, going into this one, this strategy in particular is just designed to catch on to long trending trades. It's designed to catch these bigger moves. And obviously when, you know, price action is more or less consolidating, it's going to have small wins and small losses, as we saw over the past 4 to 5 months here. But before that, we saw some pretty big gains on these big moves right here. This is essentially like best case scenario for this sort of a strategy. The last time it fired off for like a big one was in January of this year, where Bitcoin was trading just below 43,000 bucks, and then closed that a few months later in April at 66,000 bucks or so. And then again, another big one over here from about 28 all the way to 42. So, you know, big percentage moves. I think that this is probably going to be one here. I mean, it already is one here as well. And this one, you know, we're on period number 35 in 3 days. And this one does take an average of 45 days to play out. So, you know, 10 days from about Saturday. Let's see what date that would actually give. Around the 19th, 20th, basically the third week, you know, probably around the start of the third week of this month of November, we would kind of expect this one to come into its next major high. So we'll continue to monitor this one, but so far so good as of right now. Anyways, moving on from there, I did want to just quickly revisit the monthly, or sorry, not the monthly, but the bi-weekly stochastic momentum and volatility chart right here. Again, it's a very simple setup, low volatility, momentum turning on to the upside, especially within the bullish control zone. I mean, these have been, you know, generally good results in the past. Actually, I don't even have it on this chart, but you can see, I think, quite obviously what's going on right here. And of course, the monthly is following through as well. And basically, as long as the monthly momentum is remaining to the upside, you know, I'm going to generally be bullish. Yes, there's going to be pullbacks along the way. They're going to be violent as well. You know, you can very easily get 20-30% pullbacks in bull markets. But those are buying opportunities. And then when this does finally and inevitably cross to the downside, in terms of price, I'm going to be you know, looking around the price high. Maybe not the timing for that high exactly, but in terms of price, very likely yes. Anyways, one last thing, actually a couple last things before we get into the very low term timeframes, but a new statistical indicator here from Caretaker himself. This one is going to be called the CT Sequential. It is actually counting the probability of, you know, consecutive sequential closures in the same kind. What does that mean? It's counting positive closures versus negative closures, and it is drawing probabilities from that. Essentially, like if you were to get, let's say, 2 positive closures in a row, what is the likelihood that you see a third one? That's kind of the idea here. And then also, what is the percentage gain as well? That would be your gain bars versus gain runs. Anyways, you can see right now Bitcoin has had 2 days of gaining. Today is actually red thus far, but you know, I mean, today actually very well could be a pullback day, just because it's not super often that you see three gain days in a row. That probability around about just over 11%, but you know, perhaps it could be. Anyways, what am I trying to say? Today, if things want to pull back a little bit before an actual try to the upside, like a big try to the upside on Friday, especially closing out the week, that would be a good day for that. Of course, we can go reference the other price statistics over here, with Thursday being more or less a coin flip in terms of whether it's likely to close positively or negatively. But again, it's the range that we're interested in from these, and To the upside, perhaps showing a high somewhere around, actually, wow, 77,200. And to the downside, perhaps somewhere down around about low 74,300 to 74,400. Just kind of eyeballing it right there. I should let you know that actually both of these indicators are going to be included in a package together, but it is not ready just yet. We're in the background kind of shoring things up, but probably next week we'll release it. But basically, anyone who has access to the H pass is going to get access to the sequential as well. So just a little bit of a quick insight, like if you wanted to get it at a reduced price, well, they're going to come in a package. So this will be the Caretaker's price statistics package, which I think is pretty fucking cool. Anyways, okay, let's get into some Bitcoin low-term time frame action here. Looking at some of my shitcoins. Let's go over here to Bitcoins. And what is Bitcoin doing? Well, let's go to a lower-term time frame first. 4-hour time frame, we are starting to see extremes on 4-hour BBWP. A lot of the time, we will see double extremes where it quickly cools off and then goes extreme again, which is kind of what it's doing right here. And then like a high is put in. I should note that there is bearish divergence forming, very small amount right here on the 4-hour time frame versus this high over here, a little bit more concerning, but I wouldn't be looking at that as playable really as long as Bitcoin's above 74,200, basically that daily average low that we just looked at over here. As long as Bitcoin's above there on a 4-hour closing basis, I don't think it's going to actually play out for anything like super significantly more. We've already gotten almost a $2,000 pullback, so you can't get too greedy with something like that. But of course, this greater one that's going on could spill on into a 12-hour time frame, which would be a little bit more concerning. But the 12-hour time frame would need to confirm a local high. How would you do that in this particular case? It's actually not even a great way of doing it right here, but we need to see really Bitcoin close a 12-hour time frame below the last 12-hour low, which was 73,520. So if you see something like that, okay, yeah, a little bit of a warning sign. I don't think that's what's happening here, but that would be a short-term cause for concern if it did happen. If I'm giving my thoughts right here, I think Bitcoin, cools off a little bit. You see BBWP come down a little bit, and then it tries one more move, and then that's probably going to be a high. Or probably going to be, a short-term time frame high, and so you see a consolidation kind of leading into likely next week, if is what I'd guess. So, yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this video. Yeah, 13 minutes into it. What else was I going to say? Yeah, we'll come back later and do some more analysis tomorrow, and then we'll do that. Then we'll do this one over here for probably Saturday is what I'm thinking. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, yeah, again, you're free to contribute to any sort of questions that you might be interested in asking. Similar to like a live stream, anything kind of goes there. There's my little bot in the background, and then we'll take it from there. All right, cool. My brain is still fucking fried. Don't know what the hell's going on. But I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow, Friday.